Work TV. I'm your host, William Carroll. I wanted to talk to you today about prepping. Seems that we've been getting these hurricanes through here, and especially how devastated Puerto Rico has become after the hurricane hit it. I've had quite a few friends and co-workers approach me about learning to being prepared and getting things in order in case something happens to them. I love helping out and passing my knowledge along, showing people what I've learned and how to go about prepping. And one of the things I used to do was encourage people, and I still do, to go online to a lot of prepping sites, survival sites. They have a lot of good information on there. One thing that got to me was some of the advice these people that had never prepped before and don't know how to start was the advice they were getting. And that's what really inspired me to do a video here. But there was a woman a couple weeks ago on one of the sites that I'm a member of. Wanted to learn how to prep. She was a single mother with 4 children on a fixed income and tight budget and didn't know how to start off. And although she got an enormous amount of advice, good advice, she was overwhelmed in it. But what got to me was some of the advice she had gotten that just made my jaw hit the floor. Several people encouraged her, letting her know the first thing she needed to do was run out and purchase a gun. Why in the hell you would suggest that to a mother with 4 children, on a fixed income just blows my mind. And I mentioned that in one of the posts. And of course they said, well, if things go south, she's going to need to protect her and the family which she has. All right, well, first of all, we've seen by the hurricanes we've just gotten and things going south, how people step out and help each other. Yes, there was looting, but that was from the department stores and stuff like that. So far, I haven't heard of anyone having to defend their homes from their neighbors. It's communities have just pulled together during times like this. So I would suggest, I'm a gun owner, so all you gun owners don't start coming down on me about owning guns. I own a few of them, but I certainly wouldn't want a single mother with 4 children to make that her first purchase. Anyway, and some more advice she got was somebody sent her a list, posted a list on there of a year's worth of food she should immediately buy. Well, if she's not used to prepping, doesn't know how to go about it, she has probably no knowledge of how to store a year's worth of food. And if she's on a tight budget with 4 kids, I guarantee you she has no way to run out and purchase a year's worth of food. So there's a lot of bad advice out there, and a lot of it that would probably scare people off that want to start preparing. So I've come up with this video, and I can assure you, after you've seen it, that I've got the advice here you need if you're a beginner prepper or you've never prepped before and you want to get started. Prepping isn't just about getting ready for the apocalypse to hit or the government to turn against us, the martial law and all that. It's also about being prepared for everyday life. We had a power outage a while back. It lasted about 12 hours. I own a generator. I didn't bother pulling it out. I wouldn't pull my generator out for anything less than probably 48 hours. But and the reason why I say that is we had some friends that immediately wanted to run out and get a generator because they couldn't go 12 hours without electricity. And that's pretty bad. I mean, if you want to be a prepper, you're going to have to practice at it. You're going to have to get used to being uncomfortable in certain situations. But let me tell you how to get started off. I'm going to do a lot of videos on this here, but here's the advice I had to give you to get started. The first thing you need to do, get you a notebook and a pen. The best way to start out and understand what it is you need, to start prepping is put your mind in a scenario and involve everyone in the house also, their spouse, their children, whomever, anyone living in the house, involve them in it as well. Here are the ground rules on how to prepare. You want to run a scenario in your mind, and that is, number one, imagine if you lost electricity and running water for 72 hours. Right? Then, imagine that you can't go out, you can't leave your home for that 72 hours, nor can you call for help. You and your family are completely isolated in your home for 72 hours. No electricity, no water. Take a walk around your kitchen and your house and figure out if you have everything or what you need to survive that 72 hours. Make a note of the things that you and your family would need if the electricity and water supply is cut off right now for the next 72 hours. Those are the first thing you need to purchase. Do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Do you have enough of the if someone's on medication, do they have enough medication for that 72 hours? Do you have a first aid kit in case somebody has an accident and you can't get the help for 72 hours? That's the scenario you need to run, and make a list of those things. If you don't have them or you need extra, put them down. And that's the first thing you need to buy. That's your first step in prepping, is to make sure you at least have needs for 72 hours. And the 72 hours is just a number I came up with, because you really don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get the supplies you need for a 72-hour event, and it keeps you from running out and buying things that aren't really necessary. But once you get that list built up, once you have everything on that list for 72 hours, then later on, stretch it out. What do you need to survive if you have the same scenario for a week? And start building onto that. Pick your place in the house or a big closet or something, and to start yourself a pantry. Start loading up your food inside of there to keep everything in one place. Once you have a week's worth of supplies built up for you and your family, move on. Make it 2 weeks. Build up on that. Then 3 weeks. And you keep building up on that. And that's just the perfect way to start off. Because no matter how much advice everyone gives you out there, we all prep differently. We all have different needs. We all have different foods we can or can't eat. And so prepping is something extremely personal. But I believe that piece of advice there will really get you on the right track. Play the scenario in your mind. Get your family together on it. And explain to them the same thing. If we lost electricity and water for 72 hours, we can't leave the house, we can't call for help, what do we need to survive on? So I'm going to do a series of videos to help people that are new to prepping, that want to get into prepping, and they're going to be placed in a series. And I need you to participate. If you're serious about it, you want to learn about prepping, drop a comment down on the bottom. I'll respond back to you or do a video on it. But catastrophes can start anytime, so you need to start now. Don't waste your money running out and buying these big box foods that you're going to store away. Right? You need to start slow. You get those later when you can really afford it. But start off slow, build up your pantry, build up your medical needs, and within a few weeks, it's going to become an old habit. We'll get into other things on how to prep you and your family if y'all have to leave the house, how to prep your cars. There's 2 things that you're really going to enjoy that I'm going to show you in future videos, is how to make prepping into a hobby and a game for you and the family. And some of you that think you might not be able to afford prepping, you'd be surprised. I'll show you through prepping how you can actually save anywhere from a few dozen dollars to a few $100s each month by prepping. subscribe to the page, keep up with the videos, and I'm pretty sure you'll learn something. Thank you.